Hello everyone. Today I will tell you about a movie where a man lived an ordinary life, but then met his friend's sister and his girlfriend. And it's a movie called Match Point.
Let me come up.
We just spent an hour at the hotel. Don't tell me that you...
I'm sorry, I can't help it.
A man who says that it is better to be lucky than kind deeply understands the essence of life. People are afraid to imagine the fact that almost everything in their lives depends on luck. So during a game of tennis, the ball hits the net and now can fall anywhere. Chris, who used to be a famous tennis player, decides to become an instructor. His new place of work is far from home and he has to rent a small apartment. One day, Tom becomes his new student. His family is very rich since his father owns a large company. During a break, they find out that they have a lot in common. Tom, like Chris, loves going to the opera, which is why he invites Chris to a future performance. Chris immediately agrees. Thanks to this, he met Tom's sister, Chloe, who clearly liked him. And instead of watching the performance, she shyly looks at Chris. Later, Tom invited Chris to their country house. It was Chloe who asked her brother to persuade Chris to come. There, he and Chloe have a nice conversation. He tells the girl that he does not want to be an instructor for too long. Entering the house, Chris bumps into Nola. He immediately tries to flirt with her.
You have to lean in and hit through the ball.
But their conversation is interrupted by Tom. It turns out that she is Tom's girlfriend, and they have plans for a life together, but Tom's parents are against their relationship. Since that day, Chris and Chloe constantly go on dates and end up spending time together in his apartment. Wanting Chris to always be near her, she asks her father to give him a job in their company. Having received approval, she tells Chris about it. The two couples come to have dinner together. Chris looked at Nola the whole dinner, just as she looked at him. And although Chris now has a good job and has a loving girlfriend, he feels that something is missing. Walking down the street, he accidentally bumps into Nola. The girl says that she has an audition for a film in 10 minutes, and Chris offers to accompany her. After a while, Nola leaves the building, completely depressed. Chris realizes that she was not accepted and offers to dull her grief with alcohol. After drinking a couple of glasses, Nola begins to flirt with Chris. Tomorrow, Chris is taught shooting, but shooting at plates is interrupted by heavy rain. He has to hide in the house. Tom's parents hint to him that Nola is a bad girlfriend, which is why she goes outside. Chris notices her and goes after her to kiss her and spend time together. A couple of days later, the family goes to the opera. Chris is surprised that Nola has stopped paying attention to him. He asks what is happening to her. The girl replies that what happened between them was a mistake. She does not need anyone except Tom. Chris and Chloe have been together for a long time. Her parents are very interested in when the wedding will be. Chloe's father sees that his daughter is happy, which is why he pays for the wedding and their new house in full. During a game of tennis, Tom tells her that he broke up with Nola. Chris thinks about trying his luck with Nola again and calls her on the phone, but no one picks up. She was not home either. Chloe begins to notice that they spend less and less time together. She wonders if she is not right for him in some way, but Chris replies that he just has a lot of work. Chloe would also like to have a child, but nothing is working out. But her brother has already gotten married and will soon become a father. One day, Chris and Chloe make an appointment at a gallery. By coincidence, Nola comes there. He immediately offers to go on a date. Chloe approaches them, forcing Tom to ask for her phone number as quietly as possible. As soon as Chris took his wife home, he immediately went to Nola, and they spent time together. From that day on, Chris began a new relationship, and at home he became extremely cold to Chloe. During a family dinner, a guy comes to the table. He saw Chris on the street where Nola lives and wanted to take a photo with him, but he left. Chris tries to convince him that it was not him, and in general, he is constantly confused with someone else. When they meet Nola, she says that she does not like being his mistress, and if Chris wants their relationship to continue, he must leave Chloe. However, Chris cannot do this. Thanks to Chloe's father, he lives a carefree life, but he has not loved Chloe for a long time and wants to continue his relationship with Nola. In the evening, Nola called Chris and told him the news that she will soon have a child. Chris immediately comes to her and asks her to have an abortion. Nola is categorically against it. She wants them to get married. Having thought everything over, Chris decides to leave Chloe, but he does not have the strength to confess everything. Chloe has long noticed Chris's strange behavior and asks if he has a secret girlfriend. Chris answers, no. Chris comes to Nola and says that he will tell Chloe everything after his trip to Greece. But in fact, he has not gone anywhere and is only pretending that he is not in the city. During a walk, Nola notices Chris and realizes that he has been lying to her. She calls him again, and Chris says that he is relaxing on the beach. This was the last straw. Nola comes to him at work and starts screaming. He quickly pushes her into the car and drives away. Chris manages to convince her once again that he loves her. Then Nola gives an ultimatum. Chris tells Chloe everything, or she will tell her everything herself. Coming home, Chris tries to figure out what to do now. Chris sneaks into the armory and takes one shotgun, after which he invites Chloe to the theater, but they will go there alone. Chris asks Nola to come home because a surprise awaits her. Chris remembered that Nola's neighbors saw them together, so he puts on gloves and kills the woman. Chris then throws things around, pretending that there are burglars in the apartment. He sits down on the couch and starts crying. After a while, Nola appears and he completes his plan.
Nola.
On the way to the theater, it is very difficult for him to contain his emotions. But in order for Chloe not to understand anything, he has to hold on to it. The police learned about the murder and decide that the bandit is to blame. Tomorrow, they will write about it in the newspapers. One day, Chris received a call from a detective who was given Nola's case. On the way to the investigator, Chris throws away all the evidence, but luck was not on his side, and the ring hits the railing and falls to the ground. The policeman takes out a diary in which their life together is described. That is why he became the main suspect. One way or another, they have no more evidence, and they have to let Chris go. Late at night, Chris began to see ghosts, and the detective is convinced that it was Chris who killed everyone. However, during that night, they managed to catch a drug addict who had the murdered woman's ring. The detective assumes that Chris threw away the ring and a man found it, but since the case is already considered closed, he does not want to waste his time. After some time, Chris and Chloe became parents. Chloe is thinking about having another baby, but Chris can't forget what he did. That's where the movie ends. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave your comment. See you very soon. Bye.